If you put Matthew McConaughey and Ed Sheeran in the same room, you would likely notice that one of them possesses a significantly more magnetic presence. Despite both being high achievers in their fields, one projects a specific gravity that the other lacks. Observe McConaughey's default posture. His shoulders sit low, sloping downward, composed of 3 distinct learnable behaviors. By approaching social influence as a syllabus of specific mechanics rather than a genetic lottery, you can begin to manually adjust how you are perceived by others. The first pillar is presence. Conventional wisdom suggests you should simply focus on the other person, but raw attention without social calibration can be highly off-putting. For example, an individual who enters your personal space and delivers an unearned, highly personal compliment before establishing rapport is likely to be perceived as creepy rather than charismatic. Late-night host Craig Ferguson serves as a model for the successful alternative. He calibrated his approach to engage others without triggering their defensive instincts. Ferguson maintains physical distance and relies on indirect praise. More importantly, he avoids flooding the other person with focus, occasionally withdrawing his attention entirely. This behavior is supported by a psychological principle known as commodity theory. The theory posits that the more abundant a resource is, the less it is valued. By rationing your attention and making it occasionally scarce, you increase its perceived importance to the person receiving it. Mastering presence is not about maximizing the volume of your attention, but strategically pacing its delivery to ensure it retains its value. The second pillar, power, is focused on physical control. Elite law firms hire specialists to train their attorneys in these specific mechanics to ensure they project authority in the courtroom. The core rule is simple. Fast, jerky movements signal internal anxiety. Conversely, absolute physical stillness projects a level of composure that others interpret as power. The difficulty lies in our biology. Under stress, the fight or flight response forces us to fidget, shift our weight, and speak more rapidly as our bodies prepare for a perceived threat. To counter this, engage the vagus nerve in your parasympathetic nervous system, which slows the body's stress response. Stimulate it through prolonged exhales. Making your breath out last significantly longer than your breath in sends a signal to your brain that you are safe. This process lowers your heart rate and allows you to maintain external stillness, even if you are experiencing significant internal pressure. Projecting power does not require you to eliminate your nerves. It requires you to use biological cues to suppress the physical symptoms that broadcast those nerves to others. The final pillar is warmth. A historical master of this was Lord Chesterfield, an 18th century statesman who navigated the complex social dynamics of high-stakes political circles. Chesterfield noted that generic praise is often ignored. He instead focused on highly specific, observant compliments that demonstrated he was paying close attention. He categorized effective praise into 3 targets: a person's particular merit, their predominant passion, or their prevailing weakness. Targeting a prevailing weakness is particularly effective. Praising a smile on someone wearing braces, for instance, addresses an active insecurity, which builds immediate rapport and creates a sense of safety. A 1967 study by Dr. Albert Mehrabian found that the words we choose only account for 7% of how our message is received. The remaining 93% is entirely nonverbal, meaning projected warmth depends heavily on tone of voice and body language. Warmth occurs when your specific verbal observations are synchronized with those nonverbal cues. The words provide the logic of the compliment, but your physical delivery provides the sincerity that makes the warmth feel genuine. By isolating these 3 pillars, the abstract concept of charisma becomes a series of high-leverage behaviors you can practice and refine. This framework requires no fundamental changes to your personality or your physical genetics to be effective. It is a toolkit of practical adjustments, pacing your attention, controlling your breathing to project stillness, and using observant compliments to build rapport. Applying these 3 mechanics allows you to transition from reacting to your social environment to actively influencing how that environment perceives you. Class dismissed.